Alright guys, it's time for a buyer's guide to After the Flash Wintertide in 2024. This will be a guide on which packs and items to buy in After the Flash 8 that can be found year-round. So this includes all items in the Roblox page and the in-game store. One very important thing to note is the date of this video, because as time goes on, new items and packs will be released that are of course not covered in this video. So keep that in mind. So I'll start here by saying I'll be looking at the items and props of this game in two separate videos, as I think they are too different to compare and rank together. And this video would be very long if I did that as well. I'll also start by saying that the criteria I'll be looking at for these items will be what items you get from a purchase, which includes both how many items and what type of items you get, the items themselves, this will be the function and customization options, and lastly, the price. I'll also show which ones you should get in groups, as I'm going to treat this like you're able to get a hold of only $5 worth of Robux, and now you want to spend it all on ATF items. So you would want to know which items to get first with $5, and what to get after with another $5, and then after that, and so on. So with your first 400 Robux, you should get the Coalition, South Point, and USRF tool pack, as well as 2 label packs, and either the flashlight or chem light. And this brings you perfectly right up to 400 Robux, leaving nothing left over. Now, I know I just said I'll be picking specific items for you to buy and all that, but I didn't get specific about which packs to buy for the label or your lighting, and that's mainly because all 3 label packs are the exact same in price and all include 3 items, and they are all so different and balanced that it's really hard to pick which 2 you should absolutely buy other than based on preference. Exact same thing goes for lighting, and I feel like it would be wrong to steer people away from something they would know they would like because I said so. So buy the 2 packs that you want and buy the lighting you want, but for the sake of sakes, I'll still tell you which ones I would get, and that is the gold and onyx packs along with the chest flashlight. So the reason I picked all these items for my first 400 Robux is because these are giving you the absolute most for the least amount of money, as in total you are getting 22 items for just $5, which is an absolute steal for this game. Now let me try to go as fast as possible to give you a rundown of what you get from customization to function. First, the chest light. Now, I chose this over the chem lights for a couple reasons. One, you have normal light and warm light options, which are just the best ways to light up your surroundings, along with even the blue and red being pretty bright. 2, you can also change the color of the light and body separately. And third, it's a directional light that also lights up the area around you, so you get the most lighting compared to the chem light. I picked the gold label because the rifle it comes with is a scrap lever action, which I personally love the scrap aesthetic. Along with it, the fact that it's a Gauss rifle, and you don't get many of those outside of events or boxes. In fact, there's a single other Gauss gun as of right now that you can get year-round, and it's the Magnus, which you unlock at level 100. Another bonus for this gun is that it also comes with a universal grip, which is the angle grip. You also get the Southern Hospitality drink, which I really like as it is a good alternative to Second Sun soda and the regular water bottle if you didn't like their look. Lastly, you get the First Aid Biofoam, which is a pretty unique tool with only one other item functioning the same way. While it is really only a disinfectant and a numbing agent, the fact that it's a generic spray can allows you to roleplay it as basically anything else. Now for me, picking between the 2 other label packs was really difficult, but I went with the Onyx label for the fact that it comes with a primary, which may look like a cool new gun, but when you remove the suppressor, you find out that it's just the P90 that you can swap the body color out. The P90 is already an interesting gun in its own right, and it is a full SMG instead of the revolver that you get in the Sapphire pack. And you also get the rock climbing tool, which is a relatively different melee tool from the rest, and might be more useful IC-ly than a lot of other melees. And instead of this pack getting food like the Sapphire pack, which to be honest, I don't see many people even use food items, you get the prosthetic eye morph, which is also something quite different from any other paid for item, and they aren't half bad, since a lot of people go for the more cyberpunk sci-fi look. Now let me move on to the faction packs, which are the bulk of this, because for only 85 Robux, you are getting 5 items out of each box: a primary, a secondary, a melee, a food item, and then a miscellaneous item that fits the faction. And compared to just about everything else you can buy for this game, these packs are a complete steal. I am shocked they don't charge for more. But since I've got 15 items to go through, I'll try to run through all of them as fast as possible. I'll quickly talk about all the food items at the same time. South Point gets the kebab, the USRF gets an MRE, and the Coalition get a can of fish. Like I was saying about food before, you're probably not going to use them, but there's something for everyone here, especially with the can and MRE. Next we have the melees, which are all pretty different from each other. The USRF gets the SK3 POG, which is a combat knife. The Coalition gets the Sapper Spade, which is a trench shovel, and South Point gets the Kaiser Blade, which is basically a glaive. Each of them only comes with a little bit of customization, only really being able to change out the handles on all of them. The Kaiser Blade unfortunately doesn't have a stabbing animation at the moment, but only a slashing. I wouldn't imagine many uses for the Kaiser Blade since it is so large and pretty niche, but I think many people could get good use out of the shovel and the combat knife. You can also throw the shovel, which is pretty hilarious. Next, there's the special items, which is the Coalition's Paxby Spyglass, the South Point Lamplight, which is a flare gun, and the USRF radio. The spyglass is, well, a spyglass. It is currently your only option from viewing things from afar. As well, there's only one other item that does that, which is the owl binoculars, aka a limited time item. The spyglass comes as a universal scope, but it just kind of looks really bad on everything, so that's not something you write home about. Second, the USRF radio, which game mechanics wise is pretty neat, as it has its own channel that you can type in and only other people with the radio can see. And on top of that, you have 100 different channels to choose from, so the chance of people eavesdropping are low. Then we have the Lamplight, which is a flare gun, but also functions as a single barrel shotgun if you change the barrel out. You can make the flare color anything you want with the color wheel, and also change the time delay for when the flare goes off, which is pretty neat. Only problem with it is I hope you like green and wood furniture, because that's all you get with this. Now on to the primaries and secondaries, which I'll do a little further of an in-depth review on each. First up we have the Heron. It's a pretty unique pistol, being a real-life Mauser pistol, with its magazine not being in the grip and instead a little more forward. It doesn't have much for customization. You can add a longer stock, a longer barrel, and a longer magazine, and it has a scope and bottom attachment point, which clips with everything you put on it, so the bottom attachment point is pretty much useless. One thing to note with this gun is that both the extended magazine and carbine barrel make the gun full auto, and the carbine barrel makes it attached to your back while the stock doesn't. All in all, I don't think it's a pistol for most. Maybe as a carbine, but honestly I rarely think of ever using this gun in either configuration. Next is the Mendel XR, which is your standard military dark colored pistol that you can put a suppressor and flashlight on it. I think it's just a solid choice for a handgun that looks pretty good if you're not going for the scrap look and need something more refined. It's also a good choice if you're going for a more military look. Lastly is the Locust, which is my favorite out of the bunch, as it is a machine pistol that really gives you the Tech 9 vibes if you just instead put the magazine in the grip. It's also got some good customization with a few barrel options, drum magazine, and stock. It can take muzzle attachments, a bottom attachment, and a scope attachment. All of this gives you a couple ways to design the gun. The fact that it's a machine pistol means that most people probably won't use it for a sidearm, but as either a PDW or SMG, I think this is where it shines best. Only bad thing about it is the fact that you can't change the grip out at all, and it really feels like the stock should be extendable. Also, the bolt doesn't move when firing or even when you rack it, so that's also a problem. Now onto the primaries. First, the SR57 Shredder. This is a completely modular gun, and this thing really does it all. You can turn it into a saw with the 65 round magazine and heavy barrel. You could make it a DMR with the 15 round mag and the DMR barrel. You can make it just a regular assault rifle with the 30 round magazine and assault barrel. You can even turn it into a PDW by changing the receiver to the PDW receiver. This gun can truly fit any role you need it to as a primary. Also comes with a bottom attachment, scope attachment, and muzzle attachment point, as well as coming with its own universal scope, which is the ACOG. However, one thing you can't do with it is escape the color green, or the military polymer look it has. They also skimped out on customization for the PDW version, as they have slots to customize both the barrel and magazine, and yet have never added it. Also, the DMR version is still full auto, and it comes with its own universal laser that floats on everything. So while it does it all, I hope you have a character where a dark green complements their color scheme, or we're going with a more military look, because that's all you're really getting out of this gun. Next is the Weaver, which is a full auto rifle, where you can change the length of the barrel, the length of the stock, put a universal stock on it, and it comes with a universal bayonet. Then you can also change the receiver, either giving it a standard receiver, the Rattler, a marksman receiver, the Hunter, or a machine gun receiver, the Drummer. The Hunter makes it semi-auto and lowers the ammo capacity with a different magazine, but the Drummer does much more, giving you a drum magazine and replacing the barrel with a bulky barrel shroud, which really reminds me of the Huat LMG. It's a pretty good gun if you're going for a woodsman or militia look, but you can't escape the overall aesthetic of an older World War gun. Lastly, we have the SPR-68, which is an assault rifle. You can turn it into a PDW, make it full auto, and it comes with 3 magazine sizes. So basically the customization just like the SR-57 Shredder, but not polymer. On the rifle version, you can completely remove the handguard and replace it with rails. The rifle also comes with 2 scope attachment points, a bottom attachment point and a muzzle attachment point. This rifle really gives me the evil insurgent / terrorist vibes, the same way the AK-47 has become known as the bad guy rifles in movies, but in a more wasteland package. I think this rifle is a solid choice for most wasteland militias compared to the World War vibes with the Weaver, and doesn't go full scrap. One big problem with it is the fact that you can't swap out the pistol grip, because you can remove all other wood from this rifle, but not the pistol grip for some reason. And I think the rifle would really look good without the wood, and a more bare-bones sheet metal look. Now for our next 400 Robux, picking what next to get was tricky, as I feel there aren't as many no-brainer packs to get, and things get more evenly matched and opinion-based. So for this, I went with the Spoils of War pack, the Wild West pack number 1, the Suppressor pack, and the Sapphire Label pack. Now, I know both the Wild West pack and the Spoils of War pack are an expensive choice. In fact, they are currently the most expensive year-round item packs you can buy. However, I believe the price points are justified, as the Spoil of War pack comes with 4 primaries. Well, technically 3, because for some weird reason they split the SR Drummer and the modular up, which I'll touch on later, but even dividing the price by 3, you're still only spending 48 Robux on each rifle. Same with the Wild West, coming with 3 primaries and 1 secondary, making the cost 37 Robux for each, which is better than some other items in the in-game shop, which charge you the exact same amount as the label packs, and the Monsoon is even closer to the faction packs. I also went with the Suppressor pack for a little bit of muzzle customization, which you don't get a lot of from this game. Unfortunately, if you weren't looking for a bulky and handmade suppressor, then there is just nothing for you in this pack, and I would say don't buy it then. Next, the Sapphire Label pack. This comes with the Seraph 330, which is a revolver with a built-in laser and suppressor attachment. It's one of the few polymer revolvers in this game currently, so it's a good choice if you're looking for a more modern, almost sci-fi even, revolver. It also comes with the Dow sword, which comes with a sheath that the sword actually comes out of, which is a neat touch, and its blade is not a universal attachment like other melees, and honestly the blade itself may not be a good look and fit for everybody. The main reason I like this sword so much is the handle, because this weapon allows you to swap out its blade for other blades, and that's where this weapon truly shines, because the handle honestly fits many other blades and actually attaches properly to them, even though it doesn't look like it in the tool bench. And this handle honestly elevates a lot of other blades, giving them a completely different vibe and aesthetic. Lastly, you have the Spam Sushi, which, like I said with all other foods before, you probably won't use it, but this food is different from most because it has chopsticks and is on a plate. Next, the Wild West pack, which I think comes with a good balance of items since it has 2 lever actions, a shotgun, and a revolver. First, the Monroe Single Shot is a break open single barrel shotgun. It comes with both black and brown wooden furniture and can be shortened by removing the stock and adding the smaller barrel. It's a simple but great choice if you're going for the aesthetic appeal of your gun rather than the CRP capabilities. Next, the Durant New Army, which is an old Civil War revolver. It comes in gold or black, and you can add a stock and a longer barrel. The reload animation for this is unique. To reload, you replace the entire cylinder, and this is because the revolvers it was based off of were percussion caps, so instead of making an animation to manually reload, you just swap the entire cylinder. I don't think this gun completely fits the aesthetic and setting of this game. It really has that way too old look, especially when you put on the gold colors, and honestly if they instead did one of the more early cartridge revolvers, it would work a lot better with the world. Only time I really think you would want to use this is with the black and in the carbine version. Next, the Warden lever action, which comes in silver and brass and a shortened version, only in silver, and that's it. I mean, you can put a sling on it, but it's super disappointing in customization. It's really surprising that you can only change it from a pistol to full size, like you can't even change the color of the pistol size. However, even though the customization is lackluster, sometimes you can't just beat a classic lever action, and so I still think people would find a good use for it. Lastly, the Lawrence lever action. If the Warden lever action was your classic, then this is your modern. You have the option of polymer or wood for the stock and handguard. You can add a sling, and for the polymer handguard version, you can add wood paneling to the sides and bottom. There's also 2 side attachment points on the polymer, and both versions come with the scope attachment point. I really like this lever action. I think it can fit a lot of people's taste, as long as they're not going for a CRP effectiveness. The polymer and wood combo I really like because it gives me that modern big game lever action feel. And if you wanted just straight polymer, there's that. And if you wanted a full wooden look, there's that as well. One huge problem with this right now is that on the polymer version, the bottom wood panels just float. Lastly, we have the Spoils of War pack. And first off, we have the XSR 60E, the Orleander, and it's an automatic laser rifle with next to 0 customization. You get a scope attachment, which it does come with its own universal scope, it's a thermal scope, and a bottom attachment, which only adds a lightning stun underbarrel thing. I can't really say anything more about this gun. Unless you were looking for a sci-fi military laser rifle, this is your ticket. Next, the SR-50 Stovepiper. Basically the tactical AR-15 that actually has customization. Instead of 4 color sets, you've got 5 stock options and 6 barrel options. 3 stocks are the exact same but different colors, and 2 are a tactical and short stock. For your 6 barrel options, 3 again are the same but just different color to pair with the stocks. 2 others are rails, too many rails, and the last one is the M16 grenade launcher. However, the grenade launcher is sold separately with this one, as in it's not sold at all. You have a scope attachment point, muzzle attachment point, and depending on the barrel, nothing, a bottom attachment point, and a scope attachment point, or a bottom attachment point, scope attachment point, and side attachment points. On top of all that, you can change the magazine out and add a bunch of different colored wraps. Honestly, I wasn't a fan of this gun for a long time, but now it's growing on me. The wood furniture and classic furniture are if you just wanted to go with a more classic and outdated feel without going scrap. And then there's the more tactical options if you're playing more of a military character. And lastly, you have the Grenadier barrel, which just feels like a combo of the two. A couple things to note is that for some reason you can add the Spectre rail to the scope attachments, then add a scope to that, and of course is not meant to actually fit on this gun, it just hovers slightly above the rails. Lastly, you have the SR60 modular and drummer, and I'm lumping them together because the drummer literally is just a variant of the modular that should have been in the modular's customization, but for whatever reason isn't. So this is like the beefier version of the SR57 Shredder, but with a little less customization. It's got about 5 customization options if we are again lumping in the drummer, and 3 stock options. There's also 2 side attachment points and a scope attachment point. There are 2 sniper barrels and 2 assault barrels, one of which has a built-in suppressor. You got 3 magazine options, which is small DMR mag, a medium assault rifle mag, and the large drummer mag. And the different stocks only really change the look of the back along with the firing rate. On the Overwatch stock, you can't change the magazine out. I'm honestly not much of a fan of this gun at all. I think the Shredder, in terms of military rifle, fit ATF perfectly. And this gun takes it too far. And it really feels like if you took out the green and threw this into Halo or any other over-the-top military sci-fi, then no one would really bat an eye. So I'm guessing if you were making Master Chief or, I don't know, someone from Helldivers, then you got your gun. This gun also has a few problems with it. All of the built-in bipods on this gun, both modular and drummer, do not work. There's no button, nor does it appear in the control tab. The Overwatch stock also makes this gun automatic, just stupidly slower than anything else in the game, but it's still an automatic, and my question is, why not just make it semi? Alright, now on to the third round of items. Now, it's starting to get to the point where you're either not getting the most out of your money or the items aren't the best. So for this, I'm gonna go with the Noir pack, the Bat expansion pack, the Wild West 2 pack, and the M1 carbine, and the chem light or flashlight, whichever one you didn't buy in the first round, totaling to 334 Robux. Now, I know I left a few items and a bit of Robux left over, and I'll talk about why I did this later when I get to the stragglers. So, the Noir pack and the Wild West 2 pack were picked because there is only a couple good items in these packs that make them really worth it to buy, as the other items are either too niche or not really good looking. And the Bat Pack really expands what you can do with the bat in a way that makes it actually worth it to use, or just pieces of the bat. The Noir pack comes with the American 180, 38 Police, and Clipboard. The American 180 is, well, the American 180. It comes in 3 variants, wood, then black and purple polymer. There are 2 variants of the stock with a low and high version. There's 3 barrel variants, long, short, and suppressed. There's also 3 handguard variants, short, long, and a forward grip. There is 3 magazines, which I'm not counting how many rounds are in each. You can't make me. I think for the standard mag and the exotic mag, there's about around 50 to 100 rounds, and the extended mag is about 100 to 200 rounds. There's a scope attachment point and a muzzle attachment point. If you didn't know, the American 180 is a 22 long rifle SMG, so I think that's going to put a lot of people off from it. If you missed out on the Thompson for the Valentine's Day pack, then you can pretend that this is that. Or if you really love the color purple, this is also your gun, because I'm pretty sure no other gun has the color purple in it like this. Other than that, I don't really see why many people would want to use it. It feels underpowered for most, and I don't think that the black or purple style is for most because it clashes too hard with the old look of this gun. Then you have the Clipboard, which is an updated version of the Clipboard from ATF 7. It does the exact same thing where you can put a person's name into it and they pop up with whatever they're currently wearing, and something really interesting is the fact that they also pop up with whatever they're currently holding or whatever pose they're in. You can also move and rotate the person on the clipboard and flip the clipboard around to show people what's on it. I don't find myself using it ever. Only time I think I would ever use it is for some sort of business owner, government worker, or researcher, or maybe a bounty hunter. Lastly, there is the 38 Police, which is just a solid post-World War II revolver that has a lot of customization with its 6 grip options, 6 frame options, and 6 barrel options. However, you can really divide the 3 barrels into 3 different styles with just a long and short version. The grip and frame customization is just a whole lot of color that allow you to make this revolver look and feel any way you want it to. The long and short barrels are great if you wanted a snub nose or a full-size revolver, and the 3rd barrel option is if you wanted to go with a more modern look. However, it is a shame that the modern doesn't come with a few colors, because it would be nice if it came in either a silver or gray as well. But I believe that this revolver right here carries the entire pack, as both the American 180 and Clipboard are a little too niche and not for everybody. This is just a solid 50s to modern revolver that can complement just about anyone's style. And because it's in the sweet spot of not being too old or not being too modernized, it's just a perfect choice you can't go wrong with. Next, there's the second Wild West pack, which has the trapdoor rifle, the C96, and the Bowie knife. First, the trapdoor rifle is a breech loading rifle that comes in 3 variants, long, short, and pistol, and it comes in 2 colors, black and brown wood furniture. It also has a couple of accessories such as a sling, raised sights, and a scope on the longest version. Just like the first Wild West revolver, this doesn't feel like it should fit an ATF, and its old and pretty niche design, while not either being scrap, handmade, or modernized. It's a gun you won't use unless you're going for maybe a 1700s or 1800s looking fur trapper. It's really something that its style doesn't make up for its combat ineffectiveness, because if you thought the lever action couldn't compete with full auto, even semi-auto, then you haven't even seen this gun. The reload time is just awful, because not only do you have to put in a new shell, you also have to pull back the hammer. So it would be a poor choice to ever use this thing anywhere near the front lines. Next, we have the C96, which is just, well, the C96 Mauser. However, instead of being stripper clip fed, this is a detachable magazine. This gun can be turned into a carbine with a stock and longer barrel attachment. The stock and longer barrel come in 2 colors, a brown wood and a lighter yellow wood. The pistol grip also comes in these 2 colors, as well as a black plastic. You also have a short or long magazine and a light or dark gray frame. To me, it's an alright gun. I'm not a big fan of it for a couple of reasons. First, the customization of this gun is a little odd because the stock attachment looks like it can disconnect and reconnect, because it does, since the stock is modeled after one of the wooden holsters that could be attached to the pistol grip and become a stock. However, they just skimped out on the rest of the detail to represent that it is a holster, even though they could have done that with something like the Baccarat. Secondly, we should see a second stock and grip variant that is just one entire piece of wood, because they gave us the Mauser carbine barrel, and if you notice that long barrel would never fit in that holster. And that's because the stock and grip were one solid piece of wood. So the design choices are just kind of confusing for the stock. Also, the idea of this being a Wild West gun is a really big stretch, seeing as it really only came around by the end of the Wild West period, going into production by 1896, and took even longer to make it to America. I know it was likely added to spice things up, so they didn't just have to add another revolver to the pack, but even then, I feel like you could add other guns that could have worked, such as the volcanic pistol. Secondly, the carbine proportions are so small compared to the character that it really makes it look weird and feel too small and skinny to properly fit in most people's hands. So all in all, the gun carbine version is a bit of a mess, but I don't think it would look too bad for most people as a pistol though. Its odd design makes it really hard to really pair with any other loadout. Lastly, we have the Bowie knife, which comes in two variants, and that's it. It's simple, yet it works great. I think this is the main item that holds up this pack, because it's just a good universal knife. The guarded version makes it almost look like a trench knife or a pretty mean hunting knife, so it would work for either a militia character or an outdoorsman character. The Western handguard, while not being as universal, could still work for a few people's characters, if you're almost going for an Australian or Southerner survivalist. After that, there's the baseball expansion pack. I think this pack is worth it because of just how much customization that you get out of it, that allows you to use this bat on a lot of wasteland characters. Like, this gives you a lot for the bat. It's honestly criminal how much nothing you get for the bat for free. They couldn't even throw you a little bone without making you pay, but no. Anyway, the bat itself is divided into three parts: grip, hilt, and head. They all come in the same color options, which is 5. 3 wood and 2 metal. The pack also comes with grip pads, which come in 4 colors. Now on to the most interesting part of this, the attachments for the head. There's 5 of them, which are the blade, blunt, directed nails, sacrificial blade, and spiked. All in all, this really brings a lot to the table for the bat. As long as you're going for the scrap wastelander, anything of these variants would work for you. This also isn't even talking about the fact that you could put different blades on the bat to give it an almost pseudo-spear look, or replace it entirely if you wanted your bladed weapon to instead be welded onto your back and be used with 2 hands. Second to last is the M1 carbine, which is, well, the M1 carbine. It comes in black and brown wood and a green plastic. It has 3 magazine options, from small, medium, and large, with a sling, satchel, and bayonet attachment, as well as a scope attachment point. It's not a bad gun, honestly. Me personally, I've never used it, but it could work for some people. Lastly, the chem lights, because while I was talking about how they are not as effective as the flashlight for being purely light, it's not a horrible choice to get yourself some different lighting choices. Now onto what I'm calling the leftovers. These are the items that I don't think are worth the value, seeing as most of them are very close to the same price as these larger packs, or are only really worth getting to fill a small niche, such as you're playing Coalition and you needed a baton, so you buy the trench mace. Or you just have to collect everything in game because you're either a collectionist or not sure if these items will come in handy down the road. I'll go over them and what you get so you can make a decision if you want to get them for yourself once you see what's inside. And those items are the holographic scrap sight small, the monsoon, and the trench mace pack. So the scrap hollow sight is just a universal scope attachment that was actually one of the first items ever in the scrap shop, and well, it shows compared to the other newer, smaller holographic sights. It just can't compete with the higher quality. Also, the fact that it is pretty large for being a small sight makes it not fit well on most pistols, so I wouldn't recommend it unless the model gets updated, which it might, since we saw that happen with other guns such as the Mendel 63. Next, the trench mace is kind of just a smaller bat with a more refined look compared to the scrap of the baseball bat's customization. It comes with 5 hilt variants and only 3 head variants, and then only 2 head accessories. You also have the option of a grip and a side mounted grip It's really just an item that if you already have the bat, then you don't need this. Only reason you might want it is for the coalition, for either the baton or just a straight up trench mace. Another reason you might want it is for a mini bat, maybe for a child or a weaker character. Lastly, the monsoon, which is an assault rifle in 5.56 with the MP5 bolt. While this gun isn't too bad, the customization is a little funky and the price point just makes no sense. For customization, you have the carbine and rifle barrel, a scope attachment point, 4 stock variants, 2 wood, 1 green, and 1 black, 4 grip variants, 2 wood and 2 green. You notice the odd thing about what I just said? The tanker stock is black and rusted, and yet there is no grip counterpart for it. And none of the other grips really match it, because either you got the cleaned up green polymer or a wood. So while it's cool looking, you can't really use it. Secondly, they really like their thumbhole stocks. 2 out of the 4 stocks are thumbhole stocks, which I don't get, because I thought it was a 5.56 assault rifle. So why do you need a thumbhole stock? So the only really customization that makes sense for this gun is the regular wood stock and either of the 2 wooden grips. And this is all without touching on the price point of 75 Robux, which is only 10 Robux less than the 85 Robux faction packs, which come with 5 items including a primary. So I don't see any reason to get this gun unless you really wanted that HK slap. So that's everything you can buy year-round but the fart jar, because that's straight up just a waste of money. Doesn't matter if you get the customization from it, because all the guns that it gives customization to are exclusive items that you will never see again. And yeah, that's my ranking. It was more based on pricing. I try to keep it as unbiased as possible, because personally I don't like the USRF or Spoils of War items, because I'm not a fan of that super modern military look. But the prices were just too good for what you get. And if that's what you want, then get it. Now, I know most people are going to have problems with these rankings and decisions, and that's fine. Let me know in the comments what you think would have been a better buy in different orders. And if this ranking didn't help you decide what you wanted, then take into account the customization and items themselves to determine if you should buy it. And yeah, I'll see y'all around.